All right, it is 6:30, so we will go ahead and get started. Tonight for our MAKO monthly meeting, we have a special guest with us from Ryder's Run Guide Service on the Little Red in Arkansas. We have Kim Rowland, who will be doing a demonstration for us, a little bit about the river, places to fish, how to fish, what she does, and all kinds of things like that. So first of all, thank you for being with us tonight, Kim. And without any further ado, I think we'll just let you go ahead and get started.
That sounds good. Thank you so much. And thank you all for asking me for this great opportunity to share about our beautiful Little Red River. Little Red is starts in Heber Springs, Arkansas, which is about hour and a half, 45 minutes north of Little Rock. And I think from Tulsa, maybe about a 5-hour drive. But actually, our Little Red River is actually like 102 miles that flow through 5 counties of Arkansas, the northern part of Arkansas. But we've got the South Fork, the Middle Fork, and Devil's Fork. All of those provide, north of our dam, Greer's Ferry Dam, all of those provide a warmer water fishery so that you can fish for other species other than trout. But what Little Red is most known for is coming from the mouth of the Greer's Ferry Dam. The Greer's Ferry Dam was established in 1963. It was John F. Kennedy's last public appearance before his assassination. And so there at Greer's Ferry Dam, when it was established in 1963, we also have an awesome park named after the past president, the JFK Campground. Excellent little campground right there beside the river that you can just walk in and fish. From the dam down to the 305 bridge, that gives us about 30 to 35 miles of cold, pristine trout water. And that's what we're going to kind of concentrate on tonight, is that part of Little Red River for the trout fishing from the Greer's Ferry Dam down to the 305 bridge. And our water averages about 58 degrees year-round for that 30-mile span of trout waters that we can fish. Now, those temperatures vary. They can vary greatly in the summertime when they're not generating any water at all and the temperatures are high. That can get pretty, can get fatal, in fact, if we don't watch that. But our Trout Management Program is on top of that for us. In 1966, the rainbow trout were first introduced into the river, and then in the late 70s, there were some fly fishermen from the Little Rock area and Memphis area that had gotten together and had planted some brown trout fry and some eggs into the river. And, today the brown trout is one of our success stories of this river. The browns are wild here. They are not planted, although in 2019, I think Arkansas Game and Fish Commission did stock a surplus of about 15,000 browns for us, but that was the only time that they had been stocked. Normally, our brown trouts are wild, and they reproduce and thrive in this river. A little bit of, let's see. Well, as a matter of fact, you may have known that in '92, we held the world record for the largest brown trout up until 2009. A lot of folks have heard the story about Rick Collins in '92. He had landed a 40-pound, 4-ounce brown trout on like a 2-pound test line, just right a little ways down below the dam. And I'll show, there were some pictures there that you showed of the dam earlier. And it wasn't too far from there that he caught this huge monster. brown. And there are still, 3 to 6 pound trout are pretty common in this river. And it's not uncommon to catch that monster 20-pound trout any given time in this river. They are here. The browns, they spawn in October through December, generally, give or take, depending on the temperatures and the water generation. We are coming off our spawn this year, so we are looking forward to our streamer season. After the spawn, the browns are hungry and looking for some bigger food to supply their energy. I know that this past summer I got the opportunity to tag along with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission on one of their shocking surveys, just to see how many brown trout are in this river. I don't have all of those statistics right now, but I can tell you as an eyewitness from a real short area of about 6 or 7 miles, we were covered in brown trout. In fact, we shocked up more browns than any of the rainbows that were here. So that was real exciting. Our river is just covered up with some great brown trout. We have wonderful wildlife. The habitat along the river is gorgeous. We have bald eagles. We have the great blue heron. We have owls. Songbirds, otters, minks. We've got the river rat, which is Trout Unlimited's logo. Woohoo to you. We've got, turkey, deer, all kinds of wildlife for just the nature lover to enjoy along the river bank. The river itself is a beautiful, clear, it's a tailwater coming from the dam, and so the water runs clear and cold. We do have our days of when it rains, it turns to chocolate milk, but with just a little bit of generation running 1 or 2 units through, we'll clear that right up for the most part. We've got various water conditions all year long. Little Red will offer lots of shallow shoals that will trickle off into deep, deep pools that are just covered in moss beds. We've got moss beds all up and down this river, some of it in just little shoals that are just, the banks are covered in the moss and the gravel and all the clear water and stuff. And we do have some silt and sand issues, some erosion issues. I know that Little Red River Foundation is currently doing some studies on our erosion issues right now with hope to having some plans to help with some repairing and care along our bank. Further down our river, about I would say about 25 to 25 miles downriver from the dam, you're going to run into warmer water past Big Creek. It's a big creek. Big Creek runs into Little Red, and after the Big Creek, temperatures tend to rise, and you're going to see more cypress trees, and it gives the angler more of an opportunity to fish for other species other than trout. Some of the most, we could go to the next slide, I think now, some of the type of species in this river, the type of trout that we have, of course, are rainbows, we have browns, we have brookies, and now we have some cutthroat. In June of 2020, the Little Red River Foundation, Trout Unlimited, and the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission all got together, and with a group of volunteers, we planted over 55,000 bonneville cutthroat eggs and fry. So we're real excited about the future to see hopefully that those will survive, and within the next year or two, we can start hearing about anglers catching the bonneville cutthroat here on our Little Red. A lot of anglers may be surprised in catching. We have carp, we have chain pickerel, hybrids, rock bass, walleye, shad, crappie, brim. We have it all here. It comes in from the dam on the overflows, but once again, past Big Creek on down the river, closer to Ramsey's access, which we'll talk about in a minute, all of that water warms up a tad bit more, so you're going to provide more opportunities for the angler to catch various species of fish, which is always fun on the fly rod. Let's see the main types of food, the next slide. You know, sow bugs, you can move to the next slide now. Let's see, okay, there, thank you, I'm catching up here. This is a first for me, y'all. Sow bugs are prevalent throughout all year long, all along the river. You're going to find sow bugs and snails. You turn over rocks, you're going to find sow bugs. Sow bugs are here all the time, year round. You can never go wrong with the sow bug. In the spring and summer, of course, you're going to have your caddis, your March browns, and your sulfurs, blue-winged olives, and things. And sometimes in the fall, depending on the temperature. Here not too long ago, just a week or two ago, temperatures warmed up quite a bit, and there were a few caddis that came off. And of course, all year long, we have midges that are on the bottom here. We've got snails, leeches, worms, all of that are great fishing, especially when it rains. And then in the fall, of course, you've got your grasshoppers, your crickets, and caterpillars and ants, things like that. And then wintertime, when they're coming off the spawn, they're hungry and starving, they're looking for their bigger bait fish, running after sculpin, you know, mice, whatever. And that's when it's a real good time to start doing streamer fishing. We can go to the next slide. The types of fishing, not just fly fishing, I want to throw in here too that it's a great stream for spin casting, and I offer spin cast trips as well as fly fishing. And spin casting, I do the zig jig made by Richard Cross there at Mountain Home. It's a great jig. And then Trout Magnet, which is made here in Searcy, just downriver from me here. Those are the two spin casts. I'll throw some lures, other lures now and again. But fly fishing, the Little Red River is primarily a nymphing river all year long. You can always nymph. You know, once again, using that sow bug, you know, if you've got a good size 16 sow bug with a good tungsten bead on that, and you drop that thing down with a good, in the target area around those little moss beds, and make sure you don't have a drag on your drift, and just let it sit there, and boom, you're going to catch trout every single time with the sow bugs, snails, and things like that. It is just a great nymphing river. It does provide opportunities for dry fly fishing, depending on those temperatures and those hatches, and then the streamer fishing. All of those can be year round. Concentrated more in certain times of the month. So streamer fishing all year round, but yes, it's really heavy and more popular more at this time, coming January, because of coming off the spawn. The fish are hungry and they're looking for some big prey and stuff. So it's a good opportunity to throw some good streamers right now. Let's see. Speaking of streamer fishing, I do want to add here, I have my notes here about our generation schedules. With our river being a very narrow stream, one unit that averages about 4,000, 4,500 CFS, two units somewhere around 6,000, 6,800 CFS. That can be quite a bit of water, especially two units coming down this this little stream, and then you've got it crowded with dock after dock after dock after dock. So it can become very treacherous on two units. One unit is great. If you have great boating skills, you can handle one unit, it's great. But by two units, I would highly advise a very experienced guide to take you out on that. Let's see, next slide. Information. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about our trout management program with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, and some of their regulations that they have put in this year. Of course, there is no fishing 100 yards of our dam, and you do have to have the trout permit as well as the Arkansas fishing license. Only one rod per person. You would not believe how many people I pass, especially spin casting, how many rods they'll have laid out in the boat. There'll be one person in that boat, there'll be 4 rods out. But I don't know what the fine is for that, but it is illegal. You can have multi-point hooks with barbs are allowed unless you're fishing with bait or inside the catch and release areas. Bait fishing is only allowed with 1 single point, and our daily limit are 5 trout, and that combination could be 2. You can keep up to 2 brown. I really don't like to advertise this part. I usually tell my customers, I don't know what we can keep on browns. We don't keep any of them. We can't keep any brooks. We can't keep any. I don't mind keeping some of the rainbows if they want to do that, but I just can't get myself to keep, although it's legal to keep anything other than a rainbow. And we don't do that often. You can keep 1 fish over 16 inches. That's another thing that I usually tell them I don't know because I don't want them to keep anything. But let's see. And then the next slide. There are 3 catch and release areas. We have JFK, which is there by the Greers Ferry Dam, there JFK Campground, and Mossy Shoals and Cow Shoals. Now JFK and Mossy, in that catch and release areas, you can use multi-point barbless hooks. But at cow shows, only artificial lures with 1 single barb is used. And of course, cow shows is closed to fishing 30 minutes after sunset and 30 minutes before sunrise. Cow shows is also being a target of a discussion of the possibility of closing cow shows during the spawn because it's an awesome walk-in access, and it's an awesome area to go. But during the spawn, these fish are so vulnerable, and a lot of folks just are not educated enough about the reds where they lay their eggs and stay, and folks are trampling through there and doing a lot of damage, and not to mention the hens that are on these nests that are trying to lay their eggs. I mean, it's a pregnant woman. It's a pregnant female. She's trying to have her babies in peace. So we put a lot of stress on them when we're trying to target these big monster trout during their most vulnerable time. So I'm all for closing cow shows. Y'all can put that on the record there. I've thrown in my boat there. But it is a big debate right now. Some folks want it closed and some folks, of course, do not. But, of course, all catch and release areas are artificial lures or flies, no live or scented bait whatsoever. And all fish, of course, are to be released immediately. And we can go to the next slide. And continuing on with our trout management program, Christy Graham is our director of the trout management program, and she tells me that they stock about 180,000 rainbow trout each year into Little Red River. In the winter months, they tend to do it about once a month and then twice a month in the spring and summer, and sometimes on a weekly basis. But on the average, they put in about 15,000 rainbow trout a month. And then once again, we're very proud of the leadership from Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, the Little Red River Foundation, and the Trout Unlimited Chapter 722 and other chapters that were involved in planting the 55,000 bountiful cutthroat eggs this past year in June. So we're real excited to see what our future will have for that. But as of now, Little Red River holds rainbow trout, brown trout, the brookies, which are my favorite, and the cutthroat. That's pretty good lineup right there of fish if you want to come fish this river. All right, let's take a little look at this map, and I thought that maybe you all might get a copy of this map if you come to the river. It's really good. It shows the mileage between each shoal or from the dam. It shows the boating accesses, the walk-in accesses, and you can't see, I don't think, but there is some information on how fast that river can flow, about how long it takes between 1 unit and 2 units to hit, and how fast that travels. But if we want to start with our, what do we got? Walk-in accesses first. Yeah, so the JFK campground right there at the dam is a walk-in access. There is a catch and release area as you get closer up to the dam, but for the most part, you're looking at probably about a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile length of walkway of walking the bank that you can walk in, given that they're not generating water. And you can walk in there and fish. Cow shoals is the next. Let's see on the map. Let's see yeah, you had those. You've got, that's the fish hatchery, and then 5 more miles from the dam, you've got cow shows, and that is the walk-in area. It's beautiful. It's pretty good little distance, what, 3/4 of a mile, I think, that you could even walk that area. There are some new houses being built in that area, but overall, that is a very pristine area for our spawning trout, and it's just beautiful to walk in there. And then the next access from cow shows is, that should be Winkley, is that right? Yeah, Winkley shows. And Winkley is also known for like Swinging Bridge. We used to have an old antique swinging wooden bridge across there, and that broke several years ago. Unfortunately, some lives were lost from when that happened, but kids had gotten on it and started swinging it back and forth, and it just broke. But anyway, that's also known as Swinging Bridge or Barnet Access for the boating. And then Winkley Shoals is the actual shoals there under the bridge. And you can walk as far as a mile down from the bridge to almost to Baker's Ford and get into some really great fishing into that area. But you've got to be a great person to take on a long walk into some good currents across that water there. But I know my nephew's in college and they walk it all the time, but they have left me behind because that's a little bit too much of a walk for me. I'm pushing 60 years old, so I'm not going to do that walk when I have a boat. So from the next access would be, let's see, Libby Shows down from there, and that's about 17 miles from the dam. That's a beautiful little walk-in access. It's not near as long, but it does have a nice little shoal there that holds water, and you can stretch out a little ways there. And the next walk-in access would be, I would say, Lobo Landing, Lobo Marina. Bo's Guide Service owns the Lobo Marina, and that's an excellent guide service there as well on our river. We've got a lot of top-notch guides. But Bo's Guide Service at Lobo Landing will allow you to fish off their dock for a small fee. They have a marina there that offers fly fishing material and flies and things like that, as well as spin cast material to flies and lures and things. And then from Lobo, the next access would be the Pangburn Bridge, which is just right down the road from where I'm sitting right now. Pangburn is a small town of population of 601. But there's a great little access with a small little shoal that you can walk in. It's a very small area. So I would say, 4 or 5 people on that shoal is pushing it and getting kind of crowded. But it's a great access on a great shoal to enjoy the river. And then from there, the next walk-in access, I believe, would be Ramsey's. And that is the not the furthest, it is the furthest walk-in access as of now of that 35 miles of trout water. There is a shoal there that you can walk out over onto the rocks and out and fish it. There's more spin casting in that area more than fly fishing. Those are all the walk-in accesses. Now, the other boat accesses, some of those will overlap. JFK, once again, there at the dam, I said is one of the best walk-in accesses, is also a great boat access. You can put your boat in there on one unit. When they're running one unit, you can do it on 2 units. It gets a little swifter. I'm not going on 2 up there. 1 unit is ideal. It's the perfect. You can get up there all the way to the mouth of the dam and float far down below, and cover a whole bunch of beautiful territory and gorgeous water, just beautiful clear water. And then another boating access from JFK is going to be, it's not Winkley shows. Winkley is our waiting access, but just across from the river there at Winkley, it should be Barnett access. And you could see that on the map. Where is that map? Yes, and you'll see there that Barnett is just across. Winkley shows exactly across the river on the shoal, and then across that is the deeper pocket, the deeper hole where you have your boat access. And then the next boat access, one of my favorite places to put in is here at Lobo. You can cover a lot of territory putting in at Lobo. It's a wider part of the river, easier access for a lot of places. Barnett's pretty easy to get in there too, but it can get a little dicey moving upriver, and downriver you sure couldn't go. So Lobo's been one of my favorite because you can go several miles and boat, several different shoals and deep pockets. From Lobo Landing, you're going to hit Dripping Springs, which is also one of my very favorite. It's basically in my backyard, so I know that area like the back of my hand. In fact, from Ramsey's all the way up to Barnett, I know like the back of my hand there. That's pretty much the part of the river that I will run up and down. So, all right, focus, Kim. Let's see, Dripping Springs. And then from Dripping Springs, again, another repeat is Ramsey's access. You can put in there. Ramsey's gets a little bit dicey. It's got an eddy that kind of moves in right in front of that boat launch. So if that water's up at all, running 1 unit or better, man, that eddy whips around and it'll knock your boat off that trailer in a heartbeat, or get on a corner and take on water. So that's not one of my very favorite places to put in. But I do like it down there. It's really quiet. You don't have near as many docks at all, hardly any docks or houses. So it's a little bit more quiet. It's a little bit more warmer water, so you have a chance to catch a variety of species of fish other than just trout. And you can see a lot more wildlife habitat down there. It's just a little bit more secluded. Sometimes being a female guide, and when I'm fishing by myself, which I do quite often, I'll pack a little. I'll pack a little gun with me now and again just to be on the safe side, especially in those little remote areas. So just know Mama's packing when you see her by herself. All right, let's see. And then the next slide. Okay. As with any tailwater, it's imperative to understand their flow and to learn how to read the generation flows from the core. And our core is out of the Little Rock area. And so this is the app that you can download on your phone. And it will show 7, 8 river basins in this area. But you can also call this number any given time and it will tell you what they're generating. But you need to educate yourself on what is generation, what does that mean, what does that mean when they're pushing 1 unit, how long will that take for it to get to Lobo Landing, which is about 17 miles downriver. Well, on 1 unit, it may take 6 to 7 hours to get there. And on 2 units, it's going to flow a lot faster, so it could take 4 to 6 hours to get there. And so you really need to, anytime you're fishing a tailwater, such as Greer's Ferry, you need to really learn how to read the water, read and be familiar with their generation schedule. Although it's not always accurate, and it seems like this year it's been most inaccurate this year. But that's where reading the water levels and knowing what's happening becomes very important because they don't always post it. There may be something wrong with whatever technology and they're not posting it today, but they may be running 2 units for 4 or 5 hours. And by golly gee, you better be able to know when that water's coming up and what's happening, because it does tend to come up pretty quick, especially up there right at the dam. Okay, boy, I'm talking really fast and moving right along. So what I want to leave you folks with, one thing, though, that's very important to me and very special to me is you guys here in Oklahoma are going to be getting this Mayfly project coming to you guys real soon this year. The Mayfly project is something very special. We mentor foster kids, equipping them with, at the end of all of our sessions, we take them fishing, we teach them how to tie flies, and we try to educate them as much as we can about fly fishing and apply that to things in their life. We feel that fly fishing can alleviate stress, anxiety, and things like that. It's a proven fact how therapeutic fly fishing can be. It's a proven fact. No one has to be told. Anyone who fly fishes can see that. It saved me, I know that. But I know that the Mayfly Project is an awesome nonprofit, and I encourage you all to participate if you can. You can find out more information by going to the website. And if you're interested in volunteering, Jess Westbrook will surely hook you up with those that are in charge there in Oklahoma, where the project will be starting this year. I think I flew through that pretty dead-gum fast. So the worst part, I guess, now would be the questions. If anybody has any questions, I might have some answers.
The first question from the room is, what kind of gun do you carry?
It's not much, but I wouldn't want to spread too much, but it's a little 22. It's just enough that'll stop them. I've never had to use it, so, and I hope I never have to.
Does anyone else have any questions? Do we have anything online on Facebook? We're supposed to tell you that Jess Westbrook is watching on Facebook. So.
Hey, Jess, I was going to bring out my flies and show y'all what flies that you need to be fishing on this river when you're nymphing, because I've got my whole little Jess Westbrook fly box, and I'm going to tell you, I knock it out of the park every time I use his flies.
Jess wants to know what your favorite time of the year is to fish the river.
Probably summertime, because I can shed all these layers of clothes that keep me feeling like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I like summertime. It's not probably about June. June is probably about my favorite. June, July.
So you can wear the trout pants.
Right. And the spring, yeah. That's right.
Any other questions on Facebook, in the room, or otherwise?
Well, I definitely.
We have a question. Do you do more wade fishing or boat fishing? Or do you have a preference?
As I'm getting older, I have a preference to do more boat fishing than wading. Giving up my secrets here, but like I said, I'm pushing 60 and starting to experience some arthritis in my toes. And so that gets a little bit painful wading in that freezing cold water, especially when it's below 32 degrees. It's not my favorite thing to do. So I really push the tips on those days. But boating is by far my favorite.
Anything else? All right. Well, we thank you very much for joining us tonight. That was awesome. You were worried for no reason.
Oh, yeah, I'm still worried about it. But thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm supposed to mention to you that you said you were going to talk for 15 minutes.
How long did it last?
Well, we're at 37 right now.
I talked more.
And nobody's bored, so... Okay, we have another question. What about your fancy oars?
Oh,
fancy
my oars. I love my oars. And I was a little bit scared about it because it's a fishy wear pattern. And from my fishy wear bag, I wanted, being a female guide on the river, we have, thank goodness that we've got some Sims and Orvis and Patagonia are making more and more women products. Praise God. Hallelujah. But being a female out there with all these guys and wearing my ball cap, there were times that people were passing me and not sure if they're saying, oh, hi, ma'am, or couldn't tell. I thought, I've got to stick out here. So I had to add more pink. And I looked at a friend of mine who owns a graphic place here in Heber, Lane Tubbs. I took my bag up to him and I said, look, these are brand new oars. All the boys probably think I'm crazy, but I want to put a wrap around them and make them more feminine looking. And he saw my backpack and he said, well, what about that? And I said, well, that'd be great. If we don't get sued, that'd be great. And so he kind of pulled it off there, manipulated it just enough, and boom, he wrapped my oars. And I'd love to have my whole boat wrapped like that. But you can tell it's Kim coming down when you see those oars.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. That was awesome. Anything else you have to add, or?
Just would love the opportunity to introduce any of y'all to the river here, to our river, and I would love the opportunity to take you on a guide trip at any time you come.
And easiest way to find you is through Facebook?
Yeah, through Facebook, Instagram. I have my personal page, Kim Rowland Dollins, and then Ryder's Run Guide Service on Facebook and Ryder's Run Guides on Instagram.
All right, I have another question. I'm supposed to tell you the Sisters of Fly from Oklahoma say hello.
Woohoo! Sisters on the Fly, rock!
And someone is asking who the Mayfly contact is in Oklahoma.
We talked a little bit about that, and I think that the best way to go about that, because we're working with foster kids, and there's a lot of a lot of information that we don't want out. There are intensive background checks and things like that. So the best thing to probably do is to go to the website or pull up the Mayfly Project and check in there. I think you'll find Jess Westbrook's contact information. You'll be talking to him or Caitlin Barnhart. Both of them will answer your questions and connect you to that person right away. But I think that, well, not right away, but there'll be a process because they're not just going to give out that information to anyone. You do have to go through a background and that information. But by all means, please go to the website, pull it up, do some investigating, look at it, volunteer if you can. If you can't, give what you can.
Perfect. We will leave this video up on our Facebook page as well. If you need any contact information or any of the maps or anything like that, you can find them there. As well as, if it's all right with you, I will post your slideshow to our website and a link to your guide services there as well. So if anybody needs that information, it will be out there easy to find. But other than that, thank you very much, and we'll let you go.
All right. Thank y'all very much, and I hope to see you here on the river.